Hey guys, welcome to Beyond the Tape, a podcast that focuses on Australian people doing rad things within the mountain bike industry and sometimes even abroad. In this episode, I'm sat down with Baxter Maiwald to have a chat about nationals and what he's been up to for the last 6 to 8 months. Before we jump into that one though, let's thank our sponsors, Tailored Trails. They're Tassie specialists for statewide transfers, private group shuttles, and all-inclusive packages. So if a bunch of you and your mates want to go down and visit, say, Derby, Maydena, St. Helens, or anywhere on the West Coast, some of the best riding in Australia, if not the world, these guys are a dedicated private group operator that caters for up to 18 riders. They use their custom shuttle trailers and racks. Just take the hassle out of your next Tassie trip and hit up Tailored Trails so that you can go and ride and have a great time. Lead Out Sports is Australia's primary tool importers. They import tools such as Abbeys and Pedros. If you want your toolbox to look damn good and have tools that are going to last you a lifetime and probably be able to be handed down to your grandkids, then hit those guys up. Those Abbey tools are not just lookers. They last a long time and damn, they work well. FE Sports are among the leading industry experts when it comes to sporting product imports, distribution, wholesale and customer service. They both operate in New Zealand and Australia, and they're official distributors for brands such as 100%, Pirelli, Wahoo, Theragun, Wera, Absolute Black, Galfer, and a bunch more. So they stock some of the best. NS Dynamics are Australia's premier suspension service centres in Australia, because they're Australian, of course. The guys there have been doing this for over 20 years, and Aaron knows how to make forks feel damn good. At Nationals, he gave me a quick service, a quick tune-up, and even serviced my forks for me. Chucked some low-friction seals in there, gave me a basic high-performance tune, and man, it's never felt that good before. They saved me. Crush Oz are Australian designed, made, manufactured, everything. When it comes to bike cleaner, degreaser, there's nothing better. Just use that to clean up the bike at the moment, and felt sad washing those Maydena dust particles away with the Crush, but damn, it came up spick and span. Fist handwear, I say it every time, I don't need to say much about these guys. Their fist handwear gloves are so damn tough. They work so damn well, and man, if you need someone to get a grip, get them a pair of fist gloves. Anyway, let's get into the episode. We chat a bit about film projects. We talk about nationals. We talk about cycling, of course, and a bunch of other things. And it's a great episode, and it's 2.5 hours worth of grand entertainment. So grab a beer, grab water, grab a wine, grab whatever makes you happy, and enjoy the podcast.
Oh, shit. All right, let's do it. Let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah, sick. Baxter Maiwald, welcome back to the potty. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's just been hustling, working hard, and getting on top of things since Maydena. So it's been good.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I saw you last. Nearly 2 weeks now?
Yeah. It's been ages, man. You've grown up heaps. You've got so much wiser.
Yeah, a lot's changed since I saw it. A lot's changed since we last recorded a podcast that we never dropped because we decided that it was too old. So I reckon we got a fair bit. Because now we have to talk about everything we spoke about in that podcast and then also new stuff.
Well, it got dropped for half an hour.
Well, yeah, for 20 minutes.
And 95 people heard 20 minutes of it. So, but there was nothing in there. So it's all good.
Yeah, there wasn't much interesting there. The only thing that could really interrupt this episode is Nala could bust through the door at any point, but I think that's
fine with that. I'm 100% fine with that.
Yeah, I'm all good with that too. Yeah.
So
cool. Yeah, what's been going on since you got back?
Not a lot, man. Just a bunch of x-rays on the ribs. Making sure everything was good, especially after. Did you see old mate's post from Threadbow? Blake Nielsen's?
No. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was one of the most brutal crashes I've seen.
Did you see how he had a punctured lung but just kept ignoring it?
No, I've kind of like, I don't know, I've been trying to use my phone less, so I miss a lot of stuff now.
It was crazy. Like he felt pretty chill. Like he would look pretty average, but was fine and still raced like the next day and stuff. But he had like 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung and was just trying to like push through it.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So I was pretty keen to get checked out after seeing that. And yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And just been resting up. How about you?
You feeling better now though?
I am feeling better. There's a delay, so I'm going to leave.
We're not having just awkward silences. It's the internet. Dude, I swear I'm still recovering from National Champs Week. Hey, it was such a sensory overload. Like last week, I did pretty much nothing all week, but then I think I kind of sent myself too far the other way, and like you just do not enough, and then you feel worse than if you just like did some active recovery kind of thing. So yeah, that like last week I pretty much did nothing, and then this week I've like kind of got into a few things. So I actually went to Cradle Mountain yesterday, went for a hike, went for a surf this afternoon. That's like pretty much the most exciting thing. I'm just trying to build my new trail bike, which I've just been like faffing on building. It should be together, but it's not because I'm just taking my time.
So this whole like surfing thing and doing activities outside of riding seems like something new. Like how's that kind of come about?
I don't think it's new. I think I've just taken up new activities, and it happened to be in a week where everybody was there, so they all saw I was doing a new activity. I've always, since like I raced as a junior, got burnt out because I did too much of the same thing, and then kind of figured out like what I need to be happy, I suppose, and to keep riding my bike fun. Like the last 3 or 4 years, like I've been trying to make sure that I do heaps of different stuff. Yeah. So like I've been skating a lot. I've like been doing a bunch of little art projects here and there, like just trying to get out and do different stuff or stay in and do different stuff as well. So I'm like forcing myself to rest, and just like riding. So it doesn't seem like I do many different things from the outside because like, well, I'm just riding bikes all the time. But like for me, riding my BMX in the morning and then going for a trail ride and then riding my downhill bike on the weekend, like they're so different. It's enough to like not get me burnt out on any one thing. And then, yeah, I've enjoyed skating, and then all my friends surf, and they were just like, come surfing. So I was like, all right, I'll come surfing. It's like something I kind of always wanted to do, but I just never had time, or I was like never in the right place or whatever. So yeah, now I've got into that. I like got the bug for it pretty hard.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Like everyone's at practice, and you and Booker and Annie are all out surfing like midway through practice week. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I think honestly, man, that was like the secret to my week was like Booker and I spent, once the schedule came out, Booker and I spent like a lot of time being like, all right, how are we going to approach this week? And I was like, it's just not sustainable to ride that track for 5 days straight. You're either just going to like get to a point where your speed plateaus, and then you're just going to like be riding at like 95% for the 3 days. Like you want your speed to build and peak at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon when you're dropping in for your race run. So I knew the track from last year. We obviously got a bit of extra practice at state champs, and then I did a little bit of track work on the track, so I spent a lot of time walking around, and I kind of come up with the theory that if we rode on Wednesday, that would be sick because the track's fresh, everyone's there, and that that's like the day that you don't want to be like, I wish I had ridden. So we rode Wednesday, not so much to practice lines, but more so just because it was going to be fun.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's like the hype of the event. You've been like, yeah, looking forward to it. So did a bunch of runs on Wednesday, and then I was always going to take Thursday off. It just so happened that there was some surf, and Lee was filming that video for Fox, and he likes surfing. So we're like,
yep.
Well, instead of just sitting around the pits where it's hot and dry and dusty, like, let's go to the beach. And then that escalated into let's go surfing. So then we went surfing, it was a really nice mental break from the event. And then I came back on Friday morning with the intention of riding, but looking at the weather forecast, I was like, it's not really worth it because it's pissing rain, and Saturday's going to be dry, and then by Sunday it's going to be dusty again. So I thought, well, what's the point of that? So I just kind of chilled out Friday and then got stuck into it Saturday. And I honestly think that we nailed it.
I was in the same boat. Hey, like once they released the final schedule, I think it was revision 3, and when they did the track walk for the afternoon of the Tuesday, I think it was, because originally it was going to be track walk in the morning of the Wednesday, and it would have shortened practice.
Yeah.
But dude, I got sick and had to have a day off anyway. Like it just happened that I was going to take the Friday off because 5 days riding in Maydena is fucked. Like it is brutal.
You'll be dead. Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely the smarter decision. And it was funny watching like the juniors just go on punch runs, and they've got heaps of energy and they can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I probably would have done that too when I was a junior, but I'm not there contending for a national sleeve when you're in under 15s. Like when you're in under 15s, you should be riding every day. Like you're 14 years old, you got heaps of energy. Not saying I don't have heaps of energy, I'm only 22, but like you're there to ride your bike and have fun. Yeah. So you may as well ride your bike and have fun. Like the more riding, the better. Whereas like that track, I was like, yeah, like I said, if you rode it just for 5 days straight at the speed that we're going, it's just not sustainable. Like either something's going to go wrong, you're going to have a mechanical, you're going to have a crash, you're going to have something that throws your confidence. And I just don't think that that's worth it. I sort of was like I was questioning my decisions when it rained on Friday and I didn't get to do any practice, and I saw that everybody else opted to have Wednesday off and ride Thursday instead. But honestly, like the track changed so much that I don't think it mattered.
Yeah, it was interesting, eh? Like it's funny you talk about the plateauing, like that track had heaps of lines, but once you found your line down there, like your line that you were most comfortable with, you pretty much stuck to it.
Yeah.
And then by the time like race day came, those lines just weren't there. Like that that section that you had taped wide this year, and there was like that inside left instead of going up high right, and then you went through the baby head section. Like that was a whole. I got lost when I got to it. I'm like, where the fuck am I? Because all the rocks had gone. Like it was completely different.
Yeah. When the line that I looked at in track walk was not the line that rode in during B practice on Saturday. And then obviously once like down that section, because it just pretty much rides into a rut and you got to be in the rut. Otherwise you're just in like loose baby head rocks. Like that rut was in a different spot to where I thought it was going to be. And then by the time I came back on Saturday morning, we did a track walk on Friday afternoon after it finished raining, which I think was way more beneficial than trying to ride on Friday. By the time we did a track walk Friday afternoon, like there was a whole new line developed, and the initial rut that I was riding on Wednesday was like not even an option. No. Like it was still there, but you were just like, why would you bother going there when there's this other line?
Give me a sec.
So yeah, I think. Sorry, what was that? Oh yeah.
Sorry, dude, I turn my light on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like the thing that I learnt most out of this week or that week was like the power of like visualization over physical practice runs. Like I probably did like 40 practice runs.
Yeah.
It's just that only 6 of them were physical. The rest of them were all in my head. So like after doing a track walk, after riding Wednesday, I could do a run in my head on, Thursday, Friday when I wasn't actually up on track. And then after doing a track walk on Friday, I like changed a couple of lines just because of how the track had developed. And then so Friday night and Saturday morning, I could like already see it in my head. And by the time I did my first run on Saturday, aside from judging a little bit how slippery a couple bits still were going to be, like I already knew where I was going.
Yeah.
The only thing I had to practice was like physically riding what I'd already seen. If that makes sense.
Getting that muscle memory in. Well, it's like,
yeah,
Dean Lucas did like, I think he only practiced like Thursday and Friday, if that, because he's just like, I've seen it, I know where I'm going. Like it's done.
Yeah.
And I think that shows like how much different you guys are because you're so practiced at it. Like you learn that track real quick. Like I can learn a track fairly quickly, but you guys are just like on it straight away. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I heard a couple of comments over the weekend, but like, I think maybe a few people were like, oh, you don't need to practice anyway. Like you live here, you ride this track all the time, which isn't the case. Like the only extra practice we got was state champs, which like anyone could have come to state champs. And I'd like maybe done 2 or 3 runs over the whole summer on different days, which don't really help you much. But I think it is just that like ability to learn any track. Doesn't matter what track it is. You do a few runs, you do a run in your head, you memorize it, take a GoPro if that's going to help you. And then like, once you've ridden it, you just watch your GoPro, watch you run in your head, doesn't matter. And like, that's you practicing. It's the same thing. And then you just have to like learn to trust that, because that's something I've always done.
Yeah.
But it's not a process that I've trusted. So I've still actually gone and done all the physical practice as well, because I didn't allow myself to trust that the runs I'm doing in my head are actually beneficial.
Well, like Timmy Eaton and Connor Fearon, I mean, he went pretty well, eh? He did okay for himself, but they were doing the same. Man.
Yeah, Connor went. Yeah.
Like just watching GoPro, talking about the track, like figuring things out while not riding, and it seemed really beneficial to him.
Yeah. I think I collected all the data I needed for myself anyway. Like on that week, like Friday night, I was like, I've always heard that Sam Hill and like Nico Bullios and stuff used to, or still do, I assume, use a stopwatch for their runs in their head, like their visualization. And I think Nigel Reeves was telling me that Nico Bullios used to visualize a run on Saturday night with a stopwatch so that he knew the time that he had to beat on Sunday. Yeah. So he was not racing anyone else. He's only racing himself. And he's already got that time. He can like, and apparently he would like consistently visualize his run within a second of his actual race time. So Friday night, after like figuring out some lines doing a track walk, I was like, oh, well, I'll give it a go. I like visualized 3 runs with a stopwatch. 2 of them were like wild times. I think one was like a 4-minute something, and the other one was like the other end of the spectrum.
You're visualizing
like 2 minutes, my run. 50.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, but the one I did in the middle, which felt like I didn't miss any bits and I didn't rush any bits, was a 3-minute 18. And going off of the times from last year, track's a bit longer this year, but it's also a little bit faster. I was like, yeah, that should be somewhere in the ballpark, maybe. I did 3:18.66 in my head on my stopwatch. I screenshot it just to be like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to do tomorrow. My seating run time on Saturday was a 3:18.76.
Yeah, that's sick. That's insane.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, this shit works. That was enough for me. And then, Sunday I did 3 runs in my head with my stopwatch after practice. And I did a 3:08, a 3:09, and another 3:08 point something. And me and Jackson Fruit had a conversation. We're like, we reckon around a 3:10 is going to win it. And my race run, although it was good enough for third, and I'm very stoked with that result, I felt like I was riding slow the whole time. I felt like in my head, I was like, oh, this is like a terrible run. Like I've thrown this out the door. Like there's not enough intensity. Like this is shit. Whereas my last practice runs, I was like, I'm on a heater. Like Troy, watch out. I'm fucking taking the sleeve.
Yep.
Like I felt like I was riding real good. I did a 3:17, I think. And just out of curiosity, I pieced together a bunch of GoPro runs from the weekend and created one run that I remember being like, I hit this section like real good in this GoPro and in that GoPro and blah, blah, blah. Basically pieced together like my perfect run over the weekend.
Yeah, sick.
And it was a 3:17.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's just as fast as I could physically go. But it felt slow in my race run because I'd gotten used to visualizing it faster.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion I've come to anyway. I'd like if anybody else has any ideas of why, I'd love to hear it. But I feel like because I visualized faster, even though in my race run I was actually riding pretty fast, everything felt like it was slow motion.
But that's also like because you've visualized it so fast and you've done it so many times, everything's just part of your memory. You're not feeling rushed.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I think it's like that fight or flight sometimes you get when you're like pushing it. You're just not getting to that point because you're like, I know what I'm doing. Like 1 + 1 = 2. It is what it is.
But after Friday night visualizing a 3:18 and then doing a 3:18 in seating on Saturday, there's no reason that if I'm like not rushing or skipping any bits in my head and I can visualize a 3:09, how do I then get my physical self to ride as fast as what I know my brain can keep up with?
Well, I think that's where the super fast boys like Amari and Troy, obviously, and all those other guys, is like in your head, there's no fear of actually axing yourself. Like there is nothing that your body is telling you not to do. Whereas I think there's still going to be a 1 or 2% when you're actually on your bike, even if you think there's not.
Yeah, I get definitely what you're saying, but I'm not sure if that's the limiting factor in this case, because I think it's just and Booker said actually the same thing, like, because he was doing a lot of visualization as well, and he'd visualized with a stopwatch like a faster run than what he did on Sunday. And we both were like not happy with our runs because they felt slow, but in actual fact, like they're as fast as we could ride. And we kind of came to like some kind of conclusion that what we need to work on is like creating like those neurological pathways between our brain and our muscles to actually allow our body to go as fast as what our brain can, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the same as weight training.
I don't know how the fuck to do that.
Listen, if you work it out, can you tell me first? That'd be sick. I'll
let you know. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. Like it's the same as like doing a clean or a snatch in the gym. Like you can visualize it super easy, but your muscles won't want to do it until you've done it for 10,000 hours. Like it's when you start to get dialed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your whole race practice outside of actually riding your bike seemed more chill and more controlled this year, like with Booker and, just being.
It was maybe controlled and somewhat structured, but it definitely was not more chill. This is like the first. When I was in under 19s, I thought that I was training. I fucking wasn't. Last year, I didn't have time for any training because I was working.
Yeah.
This year, I pretty much quit my job in like October last year and like worked until the end of the year. And then this year started and I was just like, I've got enough money to get me through for a bit. I'm just going to not work. So this is like, I suppose, living like a professional athlete.
You're probably getting paid more.
And just being able to,
You're probably getting paid more
than a professional athlete?
Top 20, top 30 professional.
0?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so this year was like, I actually went to the gym, not as much as the last month before champs. I was like, oh, okay, this is training. So January, I kind of thought I was training, but realistically looking back, I was just pissing around. And then February leading in, I actually started doing the stuff that I knew that I was supposed to be doing. And even then, compared to other dudes, I probably wasn't training as hard, but I was doing what for me felt right. And honestly, it was just like using Maydena and its elevation to get conditioned to riding a bike. You can do, I figured out that, like, it's on my YouTube actually, that I have now started. If anyone's been listening to any other episodes. Only took me a while, but I got there.
It's almost exactly a year, but it's all good.
Yeah. There's a GoPro run on my YouTube just titled My Favorite Lap at Maydena Bike Park. And that lap, you can pretty much break it up into 3 to 3.5 minute downhill runs. So I'll just do like a 3 and a bit minute run, stop for like 30 seconds or whatever, catch my breath, do another 3 and a bit minute run, catch my breath, do another 3 and a bit minute run, catch my breath, done, go do it again. So like by the time it came to doing a 3-minute 17 race round on Sunday, I was like, this is it. Physically, like, this is easy. I can do 3 of these in a row. Watch me. And then the only other thing that I did was just go to the gym a bit and like just lift some heavy things and put them back down again just to build strength. That I probably didn't do enough of, but compared to years previous, like more is better than 0. So like anything's better than nothing kind of thing. So that definitely helped. And then by not really working and just riding and training, it actually just allowed me to have proper rest days. So coming into champs, I felt prepared, but I also felt fresh, which was something that I learnt worked for me very well after Bright National Championships 3 years ago, when I'd basically come off sitting on the couch for 3 months. So although I hadn't had much bike time, I'd been in the gym and my upper body was strong. But aside from that, I was just rested. So I just tried to make sure I took lots of me time and just rested and just like kept having fun, riding my BMX here and there, skating a bit. That's when I took up surfing. I kind of gave myself a ban on a few things a couple of weeks out just to ensure I didn't get hurt fucking riding my BMX or doing something stupid. But it was just like trying to find a good balance of like training enough to keep strong, riding enough to keep conditioned, and resting.
Resting is like so underrated.
I went a fucking roundabout way to get to what I just said, but we got there.
So good. It's funny, like when I was probably peak training in actually probably December, January, like the fatigue was real. Like if you're not sleeping and if you're not, because, you know, riding 3 times a week, training 3 times a week, working between that, podcasting, you know, it's pretty fucking hectic. And if you don't have that, there was a point where I just started taking Sundays off because it was the only day I could get that full rest, and you just need it. Hey, it's so surprising.
Yeah. I suppose the only other thing that I did that's any different to anything else I've done in my life is like been doing like heaps of yoga. Like I've just got a yoga mat next to my bed. Annie's a yoga instructor, or she doesn't work as an instructor, but she's done her course. So she gave me a few exercises to do. John Kingston, who's like a good friend of ours, who's a physio, he gave me a few exercises to do, and I just make sure that like every morning when I get out of bed, I've got a mat on the ground next to my bed. Like I literally step out of bed and I'm on it. I just do like a minimum of 10 minutes of like stretching or a bit of yoga or a bit of like just like breath work or whatever it is, like just a bare minimum of 10 minutes. And I feel like it's a fucking sick way to start your day.
Yeah.
And B, it just keeps your body feeling good. Like you very quickly figure out if you've got any tight spots or you've got any like little niggles here and there, and then you can either, if it's in your capabilities, you can grab the foam roller and roll out any bits that are tight, or like stretch any bits that are tight. Or if you need to, you can go and grab a massage because you know, okay, well, my lower back is like sore or my hips are sore or whatever. It's like a little check-in every morning to know what you need to work on that day.
Yeah.
So I found that made a massive difference. And then that kind of rolls through to like, well, if you're doing that in the morning, like you may as well eat a healthy breakfast, and then you may as well make sure that you're drinking lots of water, and then you may as well make sure that you have a good lunch, that you're not eating too much shit throughout the day, and that you have a good dinner and you get enough sleep. And like, it's just like this big snowball of like 10 minutes in the morning just makes you look after your body.
Yeah, that's sick. What was it like when you got third and the Baxter Maiwald rise to the top is continue on the same progression as it was 3 years ago?
Keep going this way, in 2 years I'll be national champion, won't I? Honestly, I was hoping to skip a couple steps this year.
Yeah.
I will answer that question, but on the way there, I'm going to touch on something else that I noticed over the week.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this year's national championships was very different to last year's or the year before, at least from the perspective of the people that I'm hanging out with. Like I can't say too much for Connor, or I can't say too much for any other dudes, but like the guys that I've been hanging out with, like Jackson and Dan and like Kai and stuff like that, it was just a different energy this year. Last year, I think even though some people were like, yeah, I'm here to try and win, I'm not sure. It didn't feel like people were there to try and win. Everybody still knew that they were racing for second because Troy was going to win. This year, I think like myself, I know Booker did, I definitely know Jackson did. Like, I think we actually believed that there's no like somebody's got to go fastest on Sunday. Why can't it be me? Like, I think that we were there to have a crack at the sleeve. So that was like pretty cool feeling to have, to like know that there was a few of us there and we were like really actually ready to like have a change of guard. We weren't racing for second. And I think, and again, I'm not going to put words in people's mouth. I don't know what it's actually like in their heads, but this is just my recount of the weekend. It really sucks that Troy crashed, and I hope his surgery went well this week. But it's kind of in a, I suppose, somewhat selfish way. It's a cool feeling to know that there was enough of us there that were hungry for it, that made him feel enough pressure that he was out there riding at his maximum limit to make sure that he won. And I haven't spent too much time with him any other years. I don't know if he rides, obviously he's like having a crack every year, but this year just felt different.
Good way to put it, because he wasn't doing as many party laps or then like usually during practice he chills at nationals until race time and he flips the on button and all these robotics inside his body get together and he goes. Yeah. Whereas this year he was on it like from day one. I think he watched a few practice runs.
It felt like we were at a World Cup.
100%. Well, like, I don't know, like everyone's new teams, dude, Jackson coming off of the first at Threadbow, which he deserves it and he's definitely one of the fastest in Australia, but I don't know if he knew he was going to do that well at Threadbow, especially after watching like...
No, I think it's...
especially after like seeing Connor on that new bike riding at Threadbow, it was just bullshit what he was doing. So I'm not putting I don't want to put words in Jackson's mouth, but like he was there to win it, but I don't know if he thought he would, and then he did, and that put a nuclear bomb under his ass, and he went for it. Like it was sick to see.
Yeah, I think that gave him the confidence that he needed coming in. Like I reckon he would have been in Threadbow knowing that he was riding good, knowing that he was prepared, and knowing that like he probably could win. But I think actually winning was like, oh fuck, all right, here we go. Like if I can win here, there's no reason I can't be the fastest on Sunday at national championships.
100%.
And just being around that energy and like kind of having the same goal as well. And then I was staying at Dan Booker's place, like where, you know, talking lines and like trying to help each other, like just being around those dudes, and everybody's like, if I don't win, I fucking hope you do, kind of thing. Like that was really cool for the whole week. It was definitely a more intense week, and a lot more focused and a lot more like one track mind than what I was last year. Last year I was just fucking happy to be there. I was like I know I'm riding like pretty fast. Like whatever happens on Sunday happens. Like I hope I get a fourth, which will be better than the year before. Like cool, sweet. Whereas this year I was like, I'm here to win a race. And yeah, third on the Sunday, getting back to your original question.
I forgot it.
Third on the Sunday was, hang on one sec. No, I was scratching the door.
Such an anxious dog, eh?
Oh no. On your bed. Yeah, up here. Up here. Up. Good job. Third on the Sunday was like, well, for a start, it was a bit of an anticlimactic race day. Because Troy didn't even cross the line. So that was a bit of a weird vibe. When I came across the line and saw the time that I did and just how my run felt, I was like very mixed emotions. I was like, well, that's great that I've just gone fastest thus far, but I was like, there's no way this time's going to stick because that run felt shit. But I was like, at the same time, like, sweet.
I'll take
I've
it.
at least got, I've yeah, I'll take it. Like I'm at worst, I'm fourth again. So that was like, yeah, a bit mixed emotions. And then Jackson obviously came down, knocked me out of the hot seat by like a good second and a half or something. And then Connor came down and smoked both of us. So I was kind of like, well, you know, looks like it's a fourth for me, like try again next year. And then obviously Troy crashed and we're kind of all just sitting there like, well, first of all, is he okay? Second, what the fuck happened? And then third, like, is he up? Is he on? Like, is he going to roll down? Like, what's going on? And then I think they obviously established that he was in need of medical attention and wasn't going to finish his run. And to no fault of, you know, of Reese and the guys commentating and running the event, like they have to do something. We can't just stand here for hours until Troy comes down. But then they were just kind of like, well, I guess your new national champion is Connor Fearon. And like, even Connor was sort of like, yay. like it's not, it's, I don't know, I think he's stoked to get the monkey off his back, but like, it's just a bit of a weird way to end the day. So long story short, all that said, I'm very happy with third place. I've just separated the two. They're like separate entities in my brain. The medal position, third place, fucking stoked.
Yeah.
The first time I've got a medal as like first medal I've gotten in elite since I won as a junior. So that was sick because honestly, after juniors, I was like, oh, well, glad I did what I wanted to do as a junior because now I'm elite. Like all those dreams are out the window. So that was sick. I'm real pumped with that. On top of that, it like keeps the trajectory going of like, if I keep going on this course 2 more years and I'll be national champion. But on the contrary to all of that, I was like not very happy with my run. And I think quite honestly, coming into national champs, because last year I learnt lots, but I wasn't happy with my run either. I like overrode the top section and I was just like pedaling places I'd never pedaled before. I was like making mistakes because I was just going too hard. So this year it was way more important for me than getting any medal position or winning or whatever it was. It was my main goal was just to do a run that I was proud of. Use everything I'd learnt last year, use everything that I'd learnt leading into. I felt like I was riding good. Nigel helped with my bike heaps. Like my bike was set up as good as it could be. Everything was feeling good. And my main goal was just to do the run that I knew I could do. And whatever position that gets me, well, that's what it gets me. So that was a bit of a tough pill to swallow, just knowing that I didn't do what I came to do. But then I got a fucking medal, so it's sick.
You definitely went drunk like real quick after that either. Like, it took you
Nah, I didn't get drunk. I didn't get drunk 2 minutes after crossing the line. I don't know what you're talking about. Some Canadian girl behind the bar gave me this pink punch that wasn't very strong at all.
That stuff was fucking lethal.
I'd seen everyone getting around drinking those like pink slushies, and I was like, that I'm pretty keen for one of those once I crossed the line. And I went up like all proud, just being crowned third place. I was like, I'm gonna get myself a pink slushie. And then I saw the slushie machine. I was like, it's not ready. God damn it, I'm gonna have to get something else. And I spoke to Abby behind the bar. I was like, I think it's not ready, is it? She was like, nah. I was like, how long is it going to be? She's like, probably a fair while. I was like, oh, I'll just get a cider, please. And then she's like, do you just want one anyway? Like, it's going to taste the same. I was like, all rightio. And yeah, because it wasn't a slushy, it just went down like like lolly water. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a good
I'm
night.
pretty sure I saw Lockie like progressively get shit faced off one glass of that stuff after his race run. He was just like, every sip he took, he just got that next level. It was fucking hilarious.
My next goal for the week was like, I think last year at the after party, I was just on such a high from the week that I was blown away that I'd gotten a fourth. All my friends were blown away for me that I'd gotten a fourth and real pumped, and I was just getting fed beers. And I still beat Troy because he was in bed very early, I seem to remember.
Yeah, I think he was pretty tired. I think that's why he went to bed real early, wasn't it?
Yeah, must have been. Yeah, must have been tired. Yeah. I last year, like obviously you got the heat. You've got like, you know, big day. Probably didn't eat enough. Probably didn't drink enough, and then like you just get handed a bunch of beers, and then it was pretty sure it was still daylight, and I was already like, I need to fucking go home because I can't see straight, and like I took myself to bed. And it was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was still daylight. So this year I was like, I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to pace myself, which I didn't do a very good job of, but I did a better job than I did last year. And I'm pretty sure I made it until like 11.
Well, from what I heard, everyone that made it after that had a real rough ride to the ferry, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I've always, like, between my friends, like, I don't really go out like partying much anymore. But even when I was partying a bit, like, I'm like the king of being in bed like around midnight.
Yeah.
Like if I make it past 1 o'clock, like I'm on a marathon of a night. Like that's like me pushing my limits. Usually it gets to midnight and I'll like check my phone or whatever and be like, oh shit, it's midnight. And then just hit a wall and be like, it doesn't matter what you say or do or like offer me or any, like I'm going to bed. I'm done. I'm out here. And I'll just smoke bomb and be in bed before 1 o'clock.
Yeah. The best way to be.
And now that I'm like not going out partying, it's like midnight is my like if I'm not in bed before midnight, I'm pissed off. I need my beauty sleep. I don't have time to be hungover anymore. I got shit to do.
Good way to be.
Pretty much.
There was a few, yeah, as I said, like old mate missing link. He looked like a ghost the next day. That was funny. And Shazza was having a rough morning. So it's pretty funny to see. Yeah,
there's a few sorry faces when you go to get a coffee on the Monday morning at the bike park, and like the staff have all partied, but like, fuck man, credit to those dudes.
Oh, dude.
Like Reese is like probably the last one to go to bed, and I saw him walking to work at 7 a.m. on Monday morning, sprightly as all hell, ready to go and do it all again. Like the amount of work that those guys, like, there's not really a trail crew at Maydena currently because like all of Frenchie's staff are here, there, and everywhere. I think he had like Luke, Todd, and Bodie for like a couple of weeks,
right.
But like pretty much like the amount of work that the staff put in at Maydena to have that event is ridiculous. Like absolutely absurd. And because of the whole, like people can like bash it and be like, oh, they rushed the track or they rushed this or they should have done this earlier or fucking whatever it is. Like with with like the landscape of COVID and stuff, and like you don't know, it's like very hard to be like 100% this thing's happening 3 months out when you should be building shit or organizing stuff or whatever. Yeah. So it's like you pretty much have to wait until the last minute and be like, okay, well, this is our last chance to like give it the green light and say this event's definitely happening before we spend shitloads of money on wages and equipment and things and this and that. And it's like, that's why everything's rushed. And then it's like, you wait till this last minute, you get the green light, it's go, 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 go. You don't have enough staff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it hasn't rained, so like you can't compact stuff properly. Like there's so many things that just get thrown at them last minute. Like, and to pull that event off as well as they do is absolute like hats off to them.
The biggest
it's sick.
The biggest thing they did this year was took every negative thing from last year, and instead of just saying, oh, it's people whinging, they fixed it. Like, for example, shuttle lines, man. Remember last year they were like an hour long, and this year they didn't exist.
Non-existent. Yeah, I think they learnt that during practice last year, that they didn't have enough buses probably. And because remember last year, as soon as they split the practice to A and B, the lines were done. It was like, you just like get straight on the bus. So this year it was like, yeah, like you said, good to see in the schedule right from the get-go, A and B practice. And the only time I ever waited for a shuttle was just that like little bit of crossover when like the dudes who want to get up there for first run of A practice are trying to get on the bus, and the kind of last people trying to get the last run of B practice. That was the only time I waited for a shuttle.
Yeah. It was phenomenal how well that ran. The other thing that made it feel more racer-ish was last year there was two up, there was intense, there was trek, and there was SRAM and Shingleback, I think, in the race village, right? Like maybe 8 pits, Crush as well. Crush.
There's always this year we didn't have Crush, unfortunately.
Stupid wombats.
Bloody wombat. We missed you, Matt. We missed you.
Oh, we did. It's way less hungover.
Nobody's bike was as clean.
Yeah. Dude, I didn't wash my bike the whole week I was there. That was so bad.
Neither. Matt wasn't there.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do without Matt?
It's devastating.
He's my support. Yeah. Anyway.
But like this
we'll
year.
Leave that topic before one starts crying.
Yeah. Before Matt reaches out and goes, hey, I had to fix my car because that fucking wombat. This year we had Fox, like PSI Cycling were there. Intense was there as usual. Like Canyon had that massive setup, which you were a part of. Pushies, Trek.
We had the sickest pit setup. We'll get to that later.
And then like even our local clubs like got together and pitched in and put money together. So the SA boys had like a pit space. And like,
yeah, Red Hill Riders had a pit space. Yangs had a pit space, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And like NS was there, like everyone was there and everyone was in like their tents. So it wasn't like last year where everyone was hanging out at the SRAM tent. This year, everyone was segmented and kind of focused more on themselves, I think. And that just gave them more race feel.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely agree.
Like the Canyon pit setup, on point. Those guys were dialed.
Yeah, Daryl and Jeremy, thank you. That was sick. Like, obviously we had a few bikes on display, which was cool. That like always just keeps people like kind of coming into the pits, and like, you know, little kids asking for stickers and stuff like that, which is like, that creates a great atmosphere. Then Jeremy just there, like he's obviously a super knowledgeable mechanic. Like he was there for us team riders for whatever we needed, whenever we needed it. Like always with a smile, always calm, like
super politically correct. Like
race mechanic you can. Not politically correct.
He was super politically correct.
Yeah. Yeah, like perfect dude to have there, like helping us out. Yeah, like the worst thing is having someone like wrenching for you over the weekend and they're stressed. Because if they're stressed, you're stressed, and that's never fucking good. So that was awesome. Daryl's there, just like whatever else we needed, he made sure we had it. And then behind the Fox tent and the Canyon tent in our like back little corner, Daryl built us like a room It was just like a 3x3 tent that was like pretty much blocked off from all sides except one. And you couldn't you could see in there, but you couldn't really see in there. And that was just like my saving grace for the weekend. It was like whenever there's like too much shit going on, or like trying to like do some visualization, or trying to do like, you know, be doing yoga in the middle of the pits, people are gonna look at it like you're crazy. so like,
because you only wear underwear when you're doing yoga, man. It's not the yoga. It's just that budgie smuggler every time.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Yeah. But just like being able to like have somewhere quiet to go and like have a stretch, or like just chill for a minute. Like the Fox pit was sick from an atmosphere point of view. Because it was like pretty open plant. Like it wasn't very deep as such. So like anywhere you were in the Fox pit, you were like close to the action. So that was like, yeah, a fun place to be and hang out. And it was sick to have those dudes there. Like Lockie's always rad to hang out with. I hadn't met Nigel and Ben and Riley properly yet. So it was cool to spend some time with like everyone I've just been dealing with over email. But just having that little like back room of the canyon tent to just go and get away from everything was amazing. I think without that, my weekend would have been maybe a bit different.
Oh, 100%. I think Sunday morning, I'd hit my limit of interaction with people, I think. And like, there was a point there where I really wanted just to go and chill in that room. I mean, as bad as that sounds, like I love meeting people and chatting to people and stuff. But on race day, when it's like every
it can be
30 seconds, and it takes a half an hour to walk from.
It can be pretty overwhelming.
I'm not complaining. It's the sickest thing ever. Never thought I'd be in that position. But yeah, that little room would have been a savior.
Yeah, I think I said the same thing to you in like a short interview we did last year after Champs. It was like so sick to have everybody so stoked on the event and like coming up to you and just being like, the track's so sick, like well done on this, well done. It's like the best. It's absolutely the best. I'm not complaining at all, but holy shit, it can just be way too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially like last year, it kind of didn't matter because I was just like soaking it all in and I was just happy to be there, like I said. But this year, like trying to focus a bit more and trying to like have my structure and have a bit more routine to what I'm doing, and everything's like in my head, it's automated. Like having that ability to, when you are getting a bit overwhelmed and there's too much going on, to just slip away and disappear for a minute was like, yeah, that was the best.
The funny thing I noticed about Troy was that he wasn't around in the pits this year.
No, he was at home or he was riding.
Yeah, like, and then
which is for a reason.
Yeah, and Aaron rocked up with his bike. Everything was prepared. Troy just rolled up and hopped on it, did his run, did everything he needed to, and then fucked off. And makes sense. Same with Connor. Like they all do it for a reason.
Yeah, that's it. Like downhill is such a mental sport that like you need to like give yourself space to think about only the shit that you need to be thinking about. And like it's so easy, and nobody realizes, nobody's doing it on purpose, nobody's like malicious with it, but when you're in the pits, it's so easy to overhear conversations or to get yourself involved in conversations that are just like negatively geared about like, you know, some grommy that they saw crash off the road gap, or like their mate that nearly had a hugie in this section, or like this like massive hole that they ran in, whatever it is. Like there's a whole array of like shit that you just don't need to be thinking about. So I think, yeah, like you just pointed out, there's definitely a reason that the top two dudes, like, they go and do what they need to do.
Yeah.
They're there for as long as they need to be there for. And then they're somewhere quiet where the only things they're letting in are what they are curating to let in. That makes sense.
Watching Supercross.
It does.
What did we spoke about a little bit Actually, no. Let's leave that for a bit later. But you were the most filmed human throughout the week, I reckon. How was that, having the legend Lee Turner like just following you around 24/7 pretty much?
Well, it was my idea, so you'd hope it was good.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah, I don't know. Myself and Nigel kind of like were brainstorming some ideas, and I just put it to him. I was like, oh, like, what do you reckon of filming like a video of national champs and like just kind of taking everyone through what it's like for the whole week racing national champs? And Nigel was like, that's a great idea. I've got Lee coming down to do some other stuff anyway. Cool. I'd never met Lee before, and I was just having my fingers crossed that I wasn't going to have some like weirdo that I didn't get along with following me around all weekend. And
you ended up with a weirdo that you don't know.
Not to my surprise. Yeah, imagine if you just like had some dude there to film you and you're just like, oh, we don't, like, nothing against them, but like you just don't get along. That would be stressful for me. But luckily, Lee is an absolute mad dog. And
yeah,
we just like we just like instantly clicked, and yeah, got along super good. He's like very easy to work with. I think because the project was a little bit like my idea, and like I brainstormed it with Nigel. Lee knew that the goal for the project was to be a bit of a fly on the wall perspective, rather than a very curated and organized filmer with me. So most of the time, like, he would just whack, and people got freaked out when I was talking to them, but like, he would just put a mic on me, just one of those little lapel mics, and just like set me off into the wild and just capture whatever. Like, he would just be over at the other side of the car park, or like, yeah, like, and that mic, like, even if he wasn't filming, if he was out of reception of it with his camera, it'd just be recording everything I said. I think he said he had like 37 hours of audio or something, just ridiculous to try and go through. But yeah, having him around was actually kind of cool. It made me make sure that I was like doing the shit that I said I was going to be doing. Yeah. But it just made me make sure that I was super dialed and like paying attention to what I was doing, and like going through the steps that I knew I had to go through, because I knew that everything was documented. But it also, with Lee being the mad dog that he is, like, there was this, even though I was supposed to not really know he was there, we were just like having banter the whole weekend. So it like kind of kept things fun and a bit light. And then when I told him I was going to the beach, and then I was like, oh, we're going surfing. And we'd already spoken about surfing a little bit. And he surfs a lot. And I was like, well, you're here to film me. You may as well come to the beach. So we took him surfing. Like, yeah, we just had a sick week, like just hanging out. And I haven't seen the video yet, but like whatever comes from it, I think is going to be sick.
I'm super keen to see it. I think it's going to be really insightful.
I hope. Yeah, that's kind of what I hope. I hope that like, I think it will be a great marketing tool to like get more of my personality across to people on the internet, that through, say, like that Etnies ad that Jared and I did, or like the last piece that I did for Fox. Like, it's just a riding clip, or it's like, yeah, it's a cool video. Like that Etnies one we did, I'm fucking so stoked on, but you don't really get to see who I am. And with a lot of the content that's coming out, like I know like Tani's done a lot of stuff where it's like a bit more behind the scenes, and you actually get to like feel like you're interacting with her at the event and seeing actually what it's like specifically for her And you obviously learn a lot about actually what goes on at a race and how people deal with certain situations and this, that, and the other. So I think it'll be really cool, for me to just like project me and my personality out there, but also hopefully like some kids can learn some stuff from it. They can learn some processes that I use to get myself through the weekend, or they can learn that I'm not just some pro dude who has a mechanic and gets paid $100,000 a year to ride my bike and has everything dialed. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just like winging it and hoping, figuring out what works. And like, I am a kid that likes riding my bike, and you go to the race and you care about what you're doing and you put in effort, and that's like, you just have fun doing it. And if you do that, like, you're going to ride fast at some point. You know what I mean?
It's gonna happen.
So I think, I think like, if some people can learn some stuff, whether it be about me as a person or about how they can use different tools to get them through a race weekend, or different processes, or like we did track walk together and we spoke about lines and why you need to be on certain lines and this, that, and the other. Like, I think that's the really cool thing that's going to come out of it. And we can, like, you can look back on that because it's just going to be on the internet whenever you're like, oh, like, how do I do a track walk, or how do I visualize, or how do I do this or that or whatever. Like, just having this thing that you can kind of look back on.
Yeah.
And it's going to make me laugh. There's probably a lot of inside jokes that only me and Lee are going to get.
It's such a sick idea that I might have stolen it, and we might be doing something similar with another athlete from Fox at a different event coming very soon.
I reckon it's sick. I think it should be done more.
I do too. Hence why I'm doing it. But yeah, I think because I'm pretty, again, I don't want to sound like some elite wanker because I'm not, but I'm pretty lucky to be able to see what you guys are doing and have a measurement of trust that I can go up to Jackson and he tells me shit, and same with like you, and same with like, I see what's happening. And I think it's super interesting and people should be able to see that more.
Yeah. Like, I'm really pumped that Lee just mic'd me up and set me free for a bunch of stuff, because I think that's where we're going to get any audio clips that are like the real golden nuggets of like information, where it is just me going up to Jackson and being like, where are you going here and why? And that like genuine unscripted, I didn't even know, I forgot that I had the mic on, we're just like shooting the shit about how to ride the track better or worse from whatever perspective. I think that's like, like I said, where you're going to get the gold.
Speaking of Jackson and the lines he was riding, that gap he did was
bullshit.
Stupid. Jackson needs to settle the fuck down. No, that was bullshit. It was crazy.
Yeah, I looked at it in track walk on Tuesday. I was like, you could do that. I was like, I don't know about it though. And I said it to Booker. I was like, you could probably do that. And he was like, yeah, I know, but I don't know. And then, Jackson was talking about it. He was like, I think I'm going to do it. And I was like, I don't reckon it's worth it. And he was like, me neither, but it would be sick.
That's so Jackson. Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of ran through, because the way that I get myself to do anything is like, I can visualize it. Once I can visualize it happening, I can then be like, okay, and I suppose it's counterintuitive, or it seems it anyway. I can be like, these are all of this is all the shit that can go wrong. And I used to try and fight it and be like, I don't want to be thinking about what can go wrong. I only like, because that's bad. I want to be thinking about what you can, how it's going to go right, because that's how you kind of get told to think of shit. But then I kind of realized that the process that my brain takes anyway, I don't know if it works for anyone else, but it does for me, and see it happening, I can then like mentally check off all of the shit that can go wrong, and I can see it unfolding and be like, okay, oh, this could happen. I could hit a tree. I could clip a pedal. I could this, that, and the other. And once I've like seen the thing work, gone through the list of shit that can go wrong, I then arrive back at seeing the thing working. And then I'm like, all right, sweet, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, it's like this big circle. And then when you arrive back at the start, you're like, cool, ready. Now I can see it working and I can trust that it's going to work because I've eliminated all that bullshit. That gap was one of those things that never got full circle.
It just kept going around.
I looked at it and I was like, well, I can see it working. That's how I like know it's possible. And I was like, but this could happen, that could happen. And every single time I thought about it, I was like, and this thing could happen and that thing could happen. And you could hit this tree and you could clip your pedal on this and you could wash. I was just like, nah, not for me. Not for me. And I like spoke about it with Jackson when he was like, I think I'm going to do it. I was like, but have you thought about this? And he's like, yes. I was like, I don't reckon you should do it. He was like, I'm going to do it. And then 2 days later, I was like, did you do the gap? And he's like, yeah, I did it. I did it on Wednesday. And I was like, you're a psychopath. He's like, yeah, I cased the stump, but like, it's all good. I was like, that's not all good. And then I happened to be there. I was trying to figure out where I was going to go through that section. I was pushing back up and he came through and jumped it. And I was like, it was one of those things where he just made it look so easy that I was like, I think I'm going to try it. And then I like went back to that process of being like, but what if this happened? And then I was like, I'm not trying it. Like, I'm going to figure out a different way through here. Like, take my own advice. You're never going to win the race in one section. It's like a race of average speed from point A to point B. If I do that, the consequences are way outweigh like how much better I could just ride something else consistently. But maybe that's the second and a half that Jackson got up on me. Who knows? I don't know.
He reckons there was a second in because of how fast he had to go into it and how fast he came out of it. So, but that's a risky second.
I would, and honestly, I would probably agree. After watching him do it, I was like, that's bullshit. And I got a little bit scared. I was like, if I thought it was, when I saw him do it and I like did a run with Troy as well. And well, I went up on the bus with Troy. I didn't actually do a run with him because we're both in our own worlds, I think. But he was talking about doing it as well. And I was like, well, fuck, if he does it and Jackson's doing it, then like Connor's probably going to do it. And then that's going to mean I'm going to have to fucking do it. But like if they're all doing it and they're all like, it's faster, then it's like, well, there's no question. Like I'm going to have to do it. So I'm pretty glad I didn't end up having to do it. And I'll let Jackson have that one. I've got some other gaps in Maydena that I've pioneered that he can have it.
I remember like Jack Fletcher Media, he was up on the hill and just before Jackson did it, he looked at Fletcher Media. He's like, you're going to want to get this. And Fletcher's just like, oh shit. Yeah. So lined up his shot, got everything there. Jackson was the wrong spot. Like it wasn't where anyone else would be. Like it was so fucking gnarly that Jack completely missed the shot. Like he's just like, that was not what I was expecting at all. So
yeah, crazy. Was there anything else that anyone was doing that was like out of the ordinary aside from just like clicking fifth and holding it wide open?
I don't think so. Honestly, watching Troy come into that section where he crashed, before he even crashed, was fucking scary, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
He was so fast.
Yeah.
And watching everyone pin through that section was scary, but he was just so fast. Yeah. Did you watch the video and And what do you think kind of happened there?
I did watch the video. Unfortunately, all of the versions I found were filmed on potatoes. So it's kind of hard to like slow it down and zoom in and see what happened. But from what I can gather, either there was like a little bit of a lip that I noticed forming on that section in when we did track walk on Friday. And the way that I'd been riding the section, which I think is the same way he looked like he was trying to go, was you kind of like drop down that steep bit, hang left over that first crest so you don't hit the root and get fucked. And then you kind of like drift across the track on a diagonal to the right and get close to that fern. And it sort of just straightens everything up. But there was a little bit of a lip forming that pointed you to that like lower bit of the compression. So from what I could see, he was just a little bit off here or there and hit that lip, like the edge of the rut kind of thing. And that just caused him to either like tuck front or his back stepped out or something. And then obviously hit the compression with his weight all in the wrong spot. And that was the end of his day.
Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. It was good to see him get up for a split second and then get down.
I've also watched that clip a bunch of times, and for how bad it went really fucking good.
Yep.
There's a lot of shit that he could have like crashed into that he didn't.
Dude, if he went left, game over. Like
he would have been
proper fuck.
Yeah, and even like he crashes and kind of rolls and comes to a somewhat stop. But if you like slow the clip down and play it, yeah, he's like. But if he hadn't have rolled, there's like a good split second there where he's just like going head on with that tree. And that could have been like, you know, collarbone breaker, neck breaker, like severe concussion and the rest. But obviously he's, you know, skilled enough to, I think part of being a good bike rider is like not being a good crasher because you crash lots, but knowing how to deal with crashing. If that makes sense. And it's kind of hard to explain exactly how you be good at that because every situation's different. But I think you just have that body awareness to be like, oh shit, I need to tuck and roll, or I need to do this, that, or the other. Yeah. So yeah, put simply, I think for how shit of a situation it was, it went really well.
Yeah. It was good to see everyone kind of help him out and get him off that hill as well. Like the whole spectator thing. That was pretty rad.
Yeah.
We'll go back to the media thing. You've been doing a lot more media this year already. Like you've done the new team, which we'll talk about in a minute, but you've got like Etnies. What else have you done? Yeah, Etnies, Fox, new team, bunch of shit.
Done.
What?
Since I quit my job in October, which basically I quit my job so I could like really have a crack at riding my bike and see, just so I don't get to 40 and be like, oh, what if? And see what I can do. So yeah, I've done 2 pieces with Fox. I've done that team launch video. There's another one we're about to drop on my YouTube this week or next week, which I filmed for Canyon on that new Stoic, the hardtail.
Oh, sick. Yeah, cool.
We've been like slowly chipping away at that. We did the Etnies clip, the Canberra CL video, which is sick. There's a pretty good long story to that I don't know if we'll get into, but maybe we'll have time. And what else have we done? And then in the background of all that, I've been organising new projects. So in the next 3 months, there's another 2 pretty big projects on the works as well.
That's so sick. What's your kind of involvement in organizing a video like that? Because that Etnies one was pretty fucking huge. Like, there's not many videos in Australia that have got drones flying over that mountain, and you're like, Jared is a big time videographer. Like, how do you kind of go about organizing that? Sorry?
I said, and on top of all that, it was their global launch for the shoe, which was like pretty cool to be a part of. That video. All right. Well, I suppose we're going to get into the story now that you've asked.
What all the stories, man? I'm here for story time.
Yeah. Well, are you ready? Are you sitting down? Have you got a cup of tea and a blanket? Because this is going to be a long one. Nah.
Just don't put us to sleep.
That. Yeah. Well, if you're not asleep already. That video was pretty funny, and I think pretty unconventional in the way that it was organized and the way that it was run. And I'm not totally sure how many details I can give, but everybody seems pretty chill, so I'm gonna like gist of it. I'd been wearing that shoe since just after the national champs last year. So I was lucky enough that the global team sent me some prototypes. I think they sent a few of us. They sent Jake Newell some. I think Blake Nielsen was wearing a pair. So there's a few of us like wearing the prototype shoes and giving a little bit of feedback. And then Andy, the guy who I deal with in Australia, he's an absolute legend, chillest bloke you'll ever meet. He said that the shoes were launching, this summer, and he had like some of the production model shoes to send me. I was like, sweet, like awesome, sounds good. Glad they've made it to production.
Yeah.
And then I kind of sat on it. I sat on it for a bit of time, and I was like organizing some video projects with Fox at the time. So I was like just very much in that headspace of like organizing stuff. And it just kind of like dawned on me that they have no athletes at a global scale that are that even wear that shoe. Like, who does all of their other ads? It's like Emil and Brandon, or they're like BMXers or skateboarders, basically. Like in the mountain bike thing, like they're going to get Emil to do it, or they're going to get Brandon to do it. And most of the time they've gotten Brandon to do it. So I just kind of asked Andy, I was like, I could be asking too much and I could be pushing the boundaries, but like what's the plan for like the release of this shoe, and like who on a global scale is wearing the shoe and who's going to be doing the content for it, basically. And long story short, Andy got in contact with the dudes at like Etnies Global, and they more or less come back to him and said, we've got some photos and some graphics and stuff. But in terms of like a video, I don't know if they hadn't thought about it or they had and they just decided like they didn't need to or whatever it was, but they didn't have anything organized. So I just said to Andy, I was like, well, I got this filmer that I've just worked with, Jared, who's like, arguably one of the best in the world, really. Like his stuff's up to scratch with anyone else's. I was like, I want to do it. I've got the time to do it. Like, can I do it? And Andy went back to the dudes at Global. One thing led to another. And me and Jared are in a Zoom meeting with the whole US marketing team and the dudes who designed the shoe. And we're talking about doing the global like product launch content piece for this new shoe. And I was just like, how the fuck did I get in this room? Like, who the hell invited me?
I think I took a wrong turn back there somewhere and
Yeah,
it worked out.
I thought I was supposed to be on level 4, and I've accidentally just walked to level 2. But if you guys haven't noticed yet, I'm just going to sit in the background. And so,
I'm not going to leave. Now I'm here.
yeah. So one thing led to another, and just like simply by, I suppose, showing some, and that's one like thing that one piece of advice I can give any kid who's like, how do I get sponsored out? It is, A, make sure you're having fun, first and foremost. B, be a nice person. And C, show some initiative. Because that's the only reason I got in this situation, is because I showed the initiative. Like, I was a good enough person. I built a relationship with Andy, and I showed some initiative to be like, hey, well, if you haven't organized this, can I do it? So that was like pretty crazy to all of a sudden be in that Zoom meeting and organizing this video piece. And that's been the thing that I have liked about working with Etnies over probably any other company that I've worked with thus far, is that even though I'm only sponsored by Etnies Australia and I just deal with Andy and I get my product from Andy here in Oz, they're a massive company, but they're internally pretty tight-knit. They're skater-owned. They're run by skaters and BMX riders, and I think it's like they're a little bit more welcoming to anyone that's like having a crack. So them just taking me in and being like, hey, do you want to wear these prototype shoes and give us some feedback? I was like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. Like nobody else has asked me to test prototype products. And then through that, like, we built a bit of a relationship and built rapport. And then now all of a sudden, like, literally anyone in the company, I've like, if I want to talk to the dude who designed the shoe, I've got his email. Like, what other company is going to let some like random kid in Australia have everybody's email? Like, I think it's just been like a super cool environment to be a part of, and everybody's super welcoming and friendly and like just willing to like help people out. Getting a bit off track, but thanks, Etnies, you guys rock.
They do. They do. Andy is a fucking legend. I'm swearing a lot on this one, but yeah, he's a good dude.
And like, just a quick side note, an unashamed plug, like, there's casual shoes, riding shoes, their stuff just it's just made well. Like, I've worn every shoe brand under the sun, like in terms of casual shoes that you're just going to either go ride BMX or go whatever. Their shoes like made from sustainable materials, which is pretty cool. If you buy a shoe that says buy a shoe, plant a tree, you plant a tree when you buy a pair of shoes, that's pretty cool. And you're not going to have to buy many pairs of shoes because they last, which is also pretty cool. Yeah. Again, thanks, Etnies.
You're 100% right though. Like, I'm used to destroying shit, and I've still got a pair of shoes from them that's 2 years old, and they're like new. Like, it's insane how good they are.
Andy sends me new shoes. I'm like, dude, I don't need new shoes anymore. Like, I don't need shoes yet. You sent like the shoes you sent me 6 months ago are still fine. So kids out there, your mum's gonna love you. Back to the question, how did that come about and what was it like? I suppose from then on it was just like a bunch of back and forth, just through like we kind of all collaboratively, like we were in a Zoom meeting and I could barely see the people because they were so little, because there was so many people in this thing. I'm pretty sure it was every single person that works for Etnies was in this thing. So we kind of come up with a bit of a rough idea and a rough timeline. They like committed how much they wanted to spend on it. So obviously then Jared and I know how much time we have to produce the thing. And then it was just like probably a month or two of like back and forth emails, just finalizing the idea and the concept. whilst I was waiting for COVID that slowed down the shipment of the production model shoes so that I could have some fresh shoes to wear. Because I don't know if anyone's ever had any experience with prototype products, but they're not constructed as good as the production model stuff. And they still lasted me 12 months. Like I've still got them as a spare set, but they just looked a bit haggard. You're probably not going to want to film a shoe ad in them. Those. So yeah, we just kind of went back and forth, came up with a concept, which realistically in the end, they were just like, sweet, you got the shoes, you know how long you've got, have fun, boys. So they gave Jared and I a lot of creative license. And then they just kind of gave us a bit of feedback at the end and tweaked a few, what's the word? I've lost the word. Jared sent through a few cuts of the video and they just were like, oh, you just changed this a little bit. But they were pretty stoked on it. So yeah, Jared and I kind of had most of the license to just do as we wanted, which was sick. Obviously, he's like a creative genius when it comes to marketing things. And even though he's shot lots of moto, he hasn't shot lots of mountain bikes. So he, I suppose, took creative control over how the whole thing was going to look. And I was able to help direct the actual riding scenes, which was cool. So I think we work really well because our backgrounds are so different and we look at everything differently, but we can see what each other is talking about. There's nothing worth, you know, when you look at a thing and you're like, I'm going to paint this wall black, and you can see that what it's going to look like before you do it. And the other person is like seeing a dark gray wall instead. Like you're not looking at the same shit. So we can kind of collaborate that way because we know the end goal, blah, blah, blah. I've kind of lost where I'm going, to be honest.
Let's say it's a good thing those shoes last because this trip is taking a while.
I feel like I'm just rambling. But yeah, so Jared and I got to just basically have like creative freedom over this video, which was like pretty sick, pretty cool for us.
It's pretty rare.
Yeah, very rare, especially something of that magnitude. And I think how that thing came out was like blew my mind. I was pretty stoked on it.
I think everyone was. It was shared around everywhere. Everyone was stoked on it.
Yeah, I didn't quite get as many girls sliding into my DMs after it as what I'd, thought. But yeah, that's all right.
It's because you posted it on Grindr.
Oh shit, that's where I went wrong.
Yeah, every time.
But yeah, I was pretty stoked on it, and I think it just keeps that ball rolling from like the last couple of Fox pieces we did, and then this one come out, and then at the same time got some stuff in Revo, and then hopefully by the time that all kind of wears off, the video from National Champs will come out, and then once that comes out, just this big snowball and everything's going in the direction that I hoped it would go when I quit my job, because otherwise I would be fucked.
The other big video that came out and was pretty much the whole reason we had to delay the last podcast for 6 months. Thanks, Jared.
He lost his drone footage.
Did he?
Yeah.
Shit.
He was like trying to recover that. And then because COVID, then Daryl was like, I don't really mind if it doesn't come out straight away because there's no racing anyway. But anyway, That's a different story. Here we are. We had, for those who don't know, we recorded a podcast before that video released, spoke about the new team that wasn't released, and then sat on it. And then we were like, we should release that podcast. And then Darren goes, it's 6 months old. I was like, shit, we should probably just do it freshie. Are you actually going to take it out this time, or are you going to leave it like the time that I went to the bathroom and you forgot to take it out?
No, but that was good. I left that in on purpose because it was ASMR.
You're a bastard. You should leave this conversation of us talking about taking the thing out, but actually take the thing out, and just leave us talking about taking it. What are we talking about?
New team.
New
How
team.
sick is it to have the collective Australia?
What are you looking at down there? You watching Supercross? Oh, you're taking it out. Yeah.
I'm just making sure I actually take it out because that was pretty bad.
You're writing notes. Do you need a minute?
Yeah. No, I'm good. There we go. So I was watching that grinder video you put up. New team.
New team.
How is it?
New team. Who dis? It's rad, man. I'm so stoked to be back on a team. It's been, I don't know when, I don't know what year it was, but the last time I was on a team was when I was with Yarra Valley Cycles. So that was before I was even a junior. I was in under 17s. And then since riding for Canyon, we've had Sam Walsh, which he came on a couple of years after I did. Obviously, Troy rides for Canyon, but in Australia, but he's not sponsored by Canyon in Australia. He's on the collective team. So basically, I've just been a lone ranger. And then kind of spoke to Daryl about helping Laura get a downhill bike after she got third last year on a trail bike, which was insane. And then I think Troy put Bo forward, maybe. I think that's how it worked. Or he at least vouched for him. So then all of a sudden we're in this situation where we're going to have two new people, and I kind of jokingly said to Daryl, I was like, hey, we should just get us all wearing the same gear and have a team. And Daryl, I think at first was like, I don't know if that's what the collective's about, but yeah, maybe. Could be cool. And then a month or two later, he calls me and is like, I think we're going to do it. Let's make a team. And I was like, yes, this is sick. So that was even cool just to kind of, obviously Daryl did 98% of the work, but just to have a few phone conversations here and there and bounce some ideas around about who we could get on board sponsor wise, and feel like I had a little bit of a part in helping get the team together was pretty cool. And then to go on that first team camp for the video and just hang out with everyone and be in a team environment again was sick. I'm real pumped to have some teammates, especially when you're at the race and you've got people to bounce ideas off, and we've got a reason to have that sick tent set up. That's the coolest thing, really, because we've got a team. We now have a team mechanic, and we now have a team pit setup, and we have the best pit setup in the pits, which is sick. And then on top of that, you go in your little box room out the back to hang out, and Laura's sitting in there, or both, and there's sick teammates in there hanging out. It's just a good environment to be in, I think.
It's a sick team. Obviously Laura is pinned on a bike and quite underrated up until now. She's got something pretty special there. So I can't wait to see her do big things.
Do you want to know just quickly, side note?
Yeah.
Laura has a sister called Sarah, and Sarah is going to hate me saying this, but Sarah, although she's younger than Laura, is probably, it's kind of the same as me and my younger brother. Sarah's probably more naturally talented than what Laura is, but she just doesn't want. She just is I don't really like racing. Just doesn't want to do it. And then, anyway,
that's the way it goes.
As you were,
I could roll five names off the top of my head of people in SA that are the same.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. They're still happy, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. But
that
doesn't take away from the fact that Laura is a fucking mad dog and shreds.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then you got Walshy, who's like the opposite of what we just talked about. And I mean, he's got talent, but fuck, he will ride a bike every day of the week for 24 hours if he could. Like,
Walshy is like, how do you describe Walshy? It's pretty hard, but it should be pretty easy. He is like the energy drink on steroids that keeps the team going. Like, you could, I honestly reckon, and I'm not sure nutritionists would agree with me, but you could not eat or drink anything all day and you could just be surrounded by Walshy and you'd still have energy.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
He just brings everyone up with him.
He's like a wireless charger for everyone's motivation. He's next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rad
and
kid.
Then pinned on a bike, one of the best corners I've ever watched. Like, especially his Scando skill is ridiculous. The dumbest thing I've ever watched.
Isn't that just South Australia?
No, apparently not, because I suck at it. And then you've got Bo Haberman. He's going to hate me if I mess that up. Who is quite chilled until you get to know him, and he does all his talking on the bike.
He does a lot of talking in the pits too once he opens up a bit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is true.
He's a good kid. His mum's a legend too. I've only spent that team camp with him and then a little bit at national champs, but like I said earlier, I was kind of doing my own thing over champs week. But yeah, he's a good kid. He's like one to watch for sure, I reckon.
And he's like 15 and nearly as tall as you, and it's ridiculous.
Pretty sure he's taller.
Yeah. Okay.
I reckon he might be taller. He's definitely
ridiculous.
He definitely reminds me of me when I was 15. I was like the lankiest kid ever.
15, I think you were 15.
Yeah.
Well, that was still the same, right?
Last year. Oh, come on. I filled out a little bit.
You got swole.
Yeah, I've been going to the gym for a month, mate. I'm huge.
But it was a pretty good turnout for you guys. What was that?
What, at the gym?
Oh, I mean, it was a pretty good turnout for you guys at Nationals.
Yeah.
Like, you guys showed up and did well. Like, you got third. Laura got third. Fourth. Bo got third. Pretty sure she got fourth. Bo got third. Yeah. Like, that's a pretty good outing for you first.
Yeah, I think
Laura was fifth last year. She wasn't third.
Yeah, look.
Because she's on the same trajectory as you now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Laura got second or third in seeding. And Bo got second in seeding, I think. And I was like, oh, we're on here. Everybody's going to get a medal. But, Laura really let the team down. But we'll let her off this time. It was
the only one that was working while Nationals was on. So,
yeah, like I said, we'll let her off this time.
Yeah, next year. No good.
Next year, though, Bo's going to have to get second. I'm going to have to get second. And Laura's going to have to get third. We should record this as a podcast and then post it, and then that way we've called ourselves out for next year's results and check back and see if our predictions were right. But yeah,
and all she has to do is show up.
Just show up. Yeah. Show up, make it through the weekend, which apparently is harder than you'd think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we had a sick weekend for the team. It was cool to like I said, hang out in a team environment again, but then at the end of the weekend, claim a few prizes and have everybody everybody on the team, well, that was there, obviously, because Walshy wasn't there. But everyone that was on the team got on the podium. Sick. Like, what more could you ask for your first outing?
Oh, sick. And you guys all cashed in those big checks from Oz Cycling and went and had a good party afterwards.
Yeah, got paid in high fives this year. I think last year I made, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I got about $75 for coming fourth, which is pretty good money considering that an entry fee is like 120.
Yeah.
And then shuttles on top of that. Yeah. And then my fuel to get out there for the week was like about, well, with the price of fuel these days, it was like $120. So like $75 for last year for coming forward. That was pretty good. And then, this year we just found out that there's no more prize money for national champs. So lucky I quit my job.
I've got pro rider life going for you.
It's fun, man. It's fun. Like, I got no money, but I've got heaps of time. So, like, I get to ride my bike every day.
Matters.
It's sick. I'm having a good time. But all I'm saying is that, like, when I was a junior in under 19s, I used to win $400 at a Vic State round.
Yeah.
Just gonna leave that there. And we didn't have 350 entrants. I think there was about 200 those years. So I don't know where the money's going, but it ain't to the riders.
Definitely not.
Maybe you can ask that. Maybe you can ask that question when you get someone from Oz Cycling on.
Yeah, if I remember it in about 10 years, then for sure, I'll definitely ask him.
Somebody's going to get pretty upset by these few sentences, aren't they? Oh, well, someone's going to
again. Someone's going to get upset again.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I think there's a few riders over that weekend that, with the changed world champ selection criteria and a few other bits and pieces, made enough noise and actually were proactive. Were proactive enough to figure out what steps we needed to take to actually get some change, instead of like other years, and I'm guilty of this too, just complaining without doing anything. So I think there will be some things changed in the coming months, and I'm pretty stoked to be on board with some people that are active in trying to do something about what everybody always complains about, because there's no point complaining if you're not going to fucking offer any solutions. I can sit here and wish that I didn't get any prize money all I like, but I don't think it's, at the end of the day, it's not about the prize money. It's about the principle that I don't think athletes in, and it's not even an argument of cross country or downhill anymore. I think it's just off-road cyclists aren't getting the support that, not even that we deserve. It's just that we need to be able to further our careers.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, Jackson put it pretty well in the beers and bikes episode I think he did with him and Alex. But like, you go to Thredbo to win money, you go to nationals to win nationals. Like, it's a bit of a different variant, but how many more people would be trying to contend for nationals if the prizes were better, or if there was more media around the event, or there was a bigger outcome than just getting the green and gold jersey, which is sick. But for some, like,
this year, and I'm not sure if it crosses over to cross country as well, but I would assume that it does. This year, aside from taking prize money away, they've taken away the automatic selection for world championships if you are national champion.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose why would you want to send your fastest rider in Australia to world champs? That doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah.
I think I read the rules that were done today as well, like you have to race Oceanus and you have to race something else, and it's really weird.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of interpretation for those. So like Oceanus is the only mandatory selection event, except if you're racing the first World Cup and don't go to Oceanus, they'll make an exception basically. But the selection races this year are the last 2 World Cups from 2021. National Championships, Oceanus is mandatory, and then Lords, which is the first World Cup. After that is the cutoff. So nobody could really get to the last 2 World Cups last year unless you're on a team. So for people like myself or Booker or something, well, that we're kind of fucked. I'm going to have to go to Oceanus, which is at like Coralbin, which from all reports is a cross-country track. And I don't think anybody's...
I've been there, no comment.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, but I think I'm going to have to go because I want to go to World Champs. And apparently Nationals means next to fuck all this year. So, I think that's hopefully the criteria is going to change a little bit, and we're going to have a meeting with the right people about at bare minimum voicing the opinions of the riders and figuring out exactly where we stand and letting them know what we want.
Is there a riders rep for riders in Australia? Like, you know how with the UCI, there's Sean.
Yeah. So, but nobody knows that. So I think there's going to...
I don't know Sean pretty well.
I think there's going to end up being like more than just a rider's rep. I think there's actually going to end up being a couple of riders that are on the panel, so that when decisions like this get made, we actually have some kind of a say. And then also that way people know who they actually need to talk to. So I know the head of the high performance sector at Oz Cycling has recently changed. I can't remember the last dude's name, but unfortunately for him, I didn't hear any good reports. Whereas this new guy that stepped into the role, I think his name's Jesse, he seemed a lot more open to talking to gravity riders, but off-road riders in general. And he's actually willing to listen, and he's allowed us to set up a meeting with him to discuss some of these hot topics, which is more than anybody else has ever done in the past. Well, at least since I've been racing. So I think with him stepping into that role, and I had a phone call with Andy the other day and just kind of voiced some concerns and asked some questions. And I think with people being proactive and people internally that know there needs to be change, and then people shuffling roles internally, I think we will get some change in the right direction. Because if it might be a bit pessimistic, but if we keep going on this trajectory, I don't think I'm going to get to be national champion because there will be no national champs.
Yeah, for sure. But it does, like, I've pointed out my concerns with odd cycling, and not just publicly. I've told people how I feel and what happens. And I think, like, the biggest change I did see from this was there was a lot more people cruising around from Oz Cycling.
Yeah.
And from everything I've heard from athletes that raced, especially even just now, is that their communications are now two-way. Whereas before it was a very one-way.
Yeah. Yeah, like last year when we had to change that last jump on the downhill course after the first day of practice, I think I spoke to like 4 different people from Oz Cycling before somebody actually pointed me in the direction of talking to the right person to get the answer that I needed.
Yeah.
Whereas I did this year. This year I had reports of other people having Oz Cycling staff actually just approach us as riders and be like, hey, we've heard this concern of this thing on the track. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Should we do something about it? Should we leave it? This, that, and the other, which is, that's how it should be.
I still think the quote of the weekend was like the Oz Cycling kit. They were telling the under 13s, oh, you can't hit the road gap in your race run. Like it's out of the race. And they were like, can we still hit it in practice? And they're like, yes. And they're like, okay. Like, as long as they could ride that step down and do the road gap in practice, they were fine.
Yeah.
It's just like, if they're all going to do it, just let them do it. But
that's
pretty interesting.
Yeah, if you're going to do it in practice, just let them do it in racing. It makes no difference. But it was nice. Like, I think there was maybe a different jump on course or something that claimed someone early on. And Beck, the medic, who you just dropped her episode the other day, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think she'd voiced some concerns to Oz Cycling, and then instead of them, I suppose last year they would have just done nothing about it, or Beck would have told me as well, and then I would have done something, or somebody else would have done something about it.
Yeah.
Oz Cycling were then going around, they were talking to me, they were talking to Jackson, they were talking to Dean and Connor, and like everyone they could find, and just being like, hey, what do you reckon? And actually in Track Walk, there was a new bit that they taped, which I got to conveniently as the Oz Cycling dudes were doing an audit, I suppose that's what you would call it, of the track. And I was just like, holy fuck, you can't let people ride off of that. And it was nice to be heard, and it was nice for them to actually ask questions and be like, okay, well, do we need to do something about this? Why do we need to do something about this? How do we do something about this? And take the steps to listen to me and a couple other riders that were standing there. And then by the time I got to, that was just as you crossed dirt surf for the first time. By the time I'd walked down to the road gap, they'd already contacted Reese at the bottom, being like, hey, we need to change this thing. Reese was already on his way up on a quad bike to go and change the thing, like just to go and retape it. And I'm glad that they did, because somebody probably would have died.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short.
Thinking of what it is, then
Yeah, long story short, it was nice to see Oz Cycling out there this year and having it feel like they were on our side and we were working together.
Yeah, it's a positive thing. Mm-hmm. We said something positive about Oz Cycling. We should mark this day in history.
Yeah,
because it's definitely changing.
Yeah, well, they do a lot of good shit, but it's just that unfortunately, for the last few years, they've done a lot of stuff that I'm sure in somebody's head somewhere it makes sense, but as an athlete, and I'm not the only one, it makes no fucking sense.
From the outside, it makes no sense.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Anyway.
we should move on from this topic before we get ourselves in trouble. If we haven't already.
More trouble.
Yeah.
We're not. We said positive things. Cycling, we said positive things. I swear.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
What are we'll start wrapping things up because it's almost bedtime for me.
I can pass my bedtime.
What are your plans for the rest of the year now that you're working for yourself as a professional athlete earning millions? What are the plans for the rest of the year?
I just bought a bus.
So, yeah, like an actual school bus, or
I bought a Toyota Coaster. Like when you think about the grey nomads traveling around in like a pretty big but not quite a school bus, it's that bus. It's white. It's got like blue stripes on it. It's got like a 6 meter awning that comes off the side of it. So I just bought a bus. Well,
is that a Toyota Coaster?
Yeah, by the time this comes out, I will have it in. When are you going to release this? I don't know. Whenever this comes out, I will have bought the bus.
Weekend, maybe.
Yeah. So
no shit. That's sick.
Yeah, you should put that in the show notes. Jamie, can you just pull one of those
up?
Yeah. So by the time that comes out, this comes out, I will be a homeowner. So I suppose my plans are to finish fitting that out. It's got a lot of stuff in it. Like it's already got solar and like battery set up and a fridge and stuff like that. But the cabinetry and stuff is just in need of a redo. So I'm going to move out of
where I'm living. Homeowner.
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to crack the housing market this early on in my life, but that took you a while to cotton on to.
I was just like, he's just dribbling bullshit again. What fucking homeowner? Do you invest in Bitcoin or something and get some NFTs?
Nah, I got onto it for a bargain actually. So yeah, I'm gonna get that thing going. I'm gonna move out of where I'm living now, move into the bus, and slowly make my way north to Cairns for some event they're having on up there later in the year.
Is that the one we can't talk about?
Even the lady from the organization told me it was the worst kept secret ever. So I'm sure people know what we're talking about anyway. So yeah, I'll eventually be up there with my bus for that event, which is in August or something. And got another couple of like video projects lined up to tick off on the way. Probably do a little bit of work, go see the boys. Hopefully they're all right, actually. Go see the dudes at Fist up in Burleigh.
I think they're okay.
Yeah. Actually got I got a signature glove coming out with Fist. So doing a little bit of stuff currently for that. I'm not going to tell you what's on it, but I reckon if you had 3 guesses, you'd probably get close.
One is you pulling it out in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then
so basically bus road trip to Cairns, and then I'll aim to be back in Tassie for next summer. And in between all of that, I've got a couple video projects coming up. And I'm sure I'll come up with a few more between now and then. I want to try and get to world champs, so I'll be continuing with some training and stuff, so that when I get the call, say positive, what's it called? It's manifestation. When instead of if.
Yeah.
When I get the call,
You've
Yeah.
already taken Troy. I saw you on the side of the track there. You've taken
when I
Troy
get
out.
the call for that, I'll be ready. I might try and get over to Europe for a little bit and either do like Innsbruck Crankworks or maybe instead I'll go to Whistler Crankworks. I'm not sure. I want to film a BMX part. So that's something I've always wanted to do. Something that Fox have said that they're keen to back me with, which is like, that's fucking rad, I reckon. So I'll probably film that with Lee because he used to work for Fly Bikes. He knows he's like actually real life friends with like Ruben and all those T1 dudes, which is like
next level.
Pretty cool for me anyway. So yeah, I might try and film a BMX part. Probably going to keep surfing. I don't really know. I haven't planned too much. The only like actual long-term-ish, it's not even that long-term, goal that I've got for this year is to make the world's team, basically, and go over there and have a fucking crack.
That'd be sick. I'd be keen to watch that.
Yeah,
I'd be keen to go there.
If I race worlds, I'm gonna race in shorts and not a skin suit like everybody else wears these days.
You should definitely rep that old OG Fox jersey.
I would wear shorts and a 90s Fox Moto jersey if they let me. But I think it would make enough.
Yeah, that's a
well.
big gift.
I think it would make enough of a statement that you should. But yeah, so I want to try and make the.
You have to.
Go.
You have to race in the Oz jersey.
Yeah, I can practice in
whatever you want.
You get seen more in practice than in racing anyway. Yeah. But yeah, that's my goal. Make the world's team. Maybe go do a World Cup or something or similar before that. And work on my bus, go do some traveling, do some video projects.
Renovations on the
some house renos. And just keep having fun, really. I'm thinking that I did my PMBI course with Reese. So I'm an accredited coach nowadays. So I might try and start up a little coaching business on the side like everybody else does. And then that way I can help some kids out, get some kids towards their goals on my way up north. So that could be something else that I'll be doing. And after how successful those shirts were that I made over National Champs Week, I've just ordered some more shirts. So you want to buy a shirt? You want to help me eat food for the week?
Yeah.
They'll be for sale when I get here.
Yeah, they're pretty comfy.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so yeah, I'll just be drawing more shit and putting it on t-shirts and hoping people buy it so I can eat food.
I rate it. You got to pay the mortgage off, man. You got a mortgage.
I don't even have a mortgage. I got this house cheap enough that I'm a bowler after becoming third at National Champs. I just bought a house outright. I ain't got no mortgage.
That's $75 from last year's Champs.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your plans for the year? Quick summary. You've got 40 seconds because I took too long.
Highline.
Yes.
I got Highline. Now that you mentioned Oceanas, kind of keen to go to that, but don't think it'll fit in.
I don't need to bother.
No, I don't think it's going to be very interesting. I wanted to go to Enduro Jam.
Yeah.
But it's on the same week as Highline, and I've been at Maydena a lot. So I think Highline's going to be something different. And then
that's pretty.
If all
that's
the
silly
stars
that they put them on the same weekends.
Dude, there's like 4 races.
Yeah, what else is on?
I can't remember, but there's like 4 or 5 things that are on like
in
that
conjunction
weekend.
with Highline, they've got a Vic State round as well at Mansfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. And then I want to get to World Champs, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Not with that attitude.
So if anyone wants to sponsor me to go to World Champs and talk shit, hit me up. Slide into my
And if
DMs.
anyone wants to sponsor me to go,
At Darren.
anyone wants to sponsor me to go,
You can find us both on
Yeah.
Grindr. And
if you want to sponsor me to go to World Champs, that would be great too. Please, thanks. No, actually,
I'll start and pay for it.
Nigel and I. Well, actually, it was Nigel's idea. I was just part of the conversation because it was between me and Nigel. Crazy how that works. Nala, shush. Come here.
Well,
Come
it
here.
disagrees.
Good girl. Come on. Sit down. Drop. It's all right. It's all right. Drop. Nah. She's not coming. Nala,
Just-
get here. Come on. Come on. Sit down. Drop. Drop. Good girl. Stay there. Nigel said that if it would be like a great idea if somebody got selected to World Champs and had to like crowdfund their way there, that every person that donated to help you get there, you got a jersey printed that you wore during practice that had the names of every single person that donated money. So when I
that'd
get
be sick.
selected and I have not much money because I haven't been working, I'm either going to have to sell my house or figure something else out.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to figure something.
We have to cover it.
Probably going to try and figure something else out. So that could be a cool idea. Try and like give people some kind of value and like show how much it would actually mean to me. If people helped me go over there.
Yeah, man, that'd be sick. Or just like written their names on the bike and stuff.
Or just with like a Sharpie, just write every single person's name on my bike, or something like that. Just to be able to like physically be like, I'm here because of these people that have helped me. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Well, I reckon I'd watch that and be keen for that.
Right.
Well, it's been a good chat. It's much better than the one we recorded.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's been way more entertaining.
Have you got those juicy final questions?
Oh yeah, let's do that. I gotta remember them now.
Oh, you don't have them written down.
What is the? No, I don't. They're not in my notes. What advice have you got to anyone that wants to have a successful Nationals campaign for 2023?
Start now.
My advice is not to start 4 months out and have a dumb idea while you're on.
Start. What are we, March? Start sometime between now and June. That's a pretty big window, really. But if you're starting after June, probably a bit too late. And also, just quick side note, this goes only for people that are in under 19s or elite and in gym training. I think if you're in under 15s or under 17s, as Connor said in his latest interview that he did with Dean, just ride your bike to have fun. Don't worry about it. But if you're in under 19s or elite and you want to have a crack, start now. Get on a training program, stick to it, but have fun doing it. It's better to do a little bit than to do nothing. And I would say do as much racing as you can leading into. Can you hear Nala just growling? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you, man.
Do as much racing, which is something I didn't do. Do as much racing as you can coming into it so that you can like implement the systems that you come up with and practice them. Don't worry about what results you get at any of the other races, but just be like, trial some things, come up with a system so that by the time you get to national champs, your whole weekend is automated. You don't have to think about it. You know what you have for breakfast. You know what time you need to be at practice. You know how many practice runs you need to do roughly. You know what you do before each practice run. You have your warm-up dialed. You know how long that takes, blah, 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 blah. So that when you get there, everything that you do, you've done before, and you don't need to think about it. And then just go and risk your life for 3 or so minutes and see what happens.
Yeah, the race thing is very
I think
important.
if you,
I wish I had.
I think if you like have practice of racing and you are prepared off of like outside of racing, you do everything that you want to prepare, that you want to do to prepare, i.e. training, etc. And then you practice your race weekend strategy so that when you get to nationals, you've done it all before, then all you have to do is trust the process. And whatever the result is, the result will be.
If you were to change one thing about your nationals prep and race week this year, what would have been?
In line with what I just said, I would have done some more races so that I wasn't trying to figure out things on the weekend. And that's probably it, really. I think I was like physically conditioned well. I probably would have like done the gym work that I did in the month leading into earlier and better and more consistently. But that said, what I was doing instead of going to the gym still aided me in the right direction. And I trusted even though I was kind of like, oh, well, shit, maybe other people are in the gym more, I sort of trusted my own process, which ended up obviously working. But yeah, I would have just done some more racing prior to, so that I could figure out some of those mental strategies that I ended up coming up with on the weekend. That's all I would change.
I think that's, again, very important. I think I had one race planned between starting training and the race, and then I had to miss it because of close contact COVID. So I had no races. And that was the biggest thing of the week. It was just the race prep, which I thought I did pretty well.
Yeah.
Considering everything that went catastrophically wrong. And what have you been jamming to? Some good music you've been listening to.
Just let me pull up my trusty old Spotify over here and I'll let you know. I've actually lately been getting into like, which is pretty different to anything I've listened to ever really before, into just like some lo-fi kind of like hip hop beats, just instrumentals. I've just been listening to those like in the evening while I'm having dinner, or like in the morning when I'm stretching and having brekkie and stuff. So that's been cool. And aside from that, Spotify is telling me that it suggested top mixes for me that it's come up with are Motorhead mix, punk mix, and a chill mix. So heaps of guitars and loud shit still.
I was about to say, like, it's
pretty standard. The only thing that's changed is that my days have started and ended with something a bit more relaxed. Everything in between is still fast.
Yeah, Ace of Spades.
Yeah.
I'll never forget just waking up last year and every morning it was just like Ace of Spades and it was just like on, like every morning at your place, and it's just like we're going.
Yeah,
this is it.
Whereas now, like,
which was sick.
Like this week, this year's national champs, I would like get up, put some like lo-fi hip hop beats on, stretch, have brekkie, start my morning, chill, and then I had like a 10-minute drive from National Park to Maydena. Get in the car, plug the aux in, Ace of Spades. Yeah, it's time to go. Yeah. Speaking of time to go, I'm going to fucking bed. It's
me too, man.
It's 10:27. That's like a full hour and 27 minutes past my bedtime.
Yeah. Easy, man. Thank you so much. I'll let you know when I release this.
Yeah, I think that was a good one. Stoked. Take care.
Yeah.
See you later.
Have a good night. Speak soon. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. Hopefully we didn't dribble on too much. It was a long one, and I found it quite interesting to see how Baxter has changed up his kind of motives and what he wants to do at the moment. Hopefully we will see him selected for Worlds. Everything going well at Oceanias, it should happen. If it doesn't, I'm launching a petition. Anyway, thanks to our supporters, Tailored Trails, Lead Out Sports, FE Sports, NS Dynamics, Crush and Fist. You guys kill it, and thanks so much for supporting us to do cool shit. If you want to support the podcast, make sure you share it between your mum, your dad, your grandma, your dog, whoever. Make sure that you share it around and let them know about the potty. Also, if you want to donate a bit financially, make sure you jump over to beyondthetape.com, grab a t-shirt, buy me a coffee, do whatever. And any support would be greatly appreciated so we can do more cool shit. There's a few big trips in the plans and a really cool project. And that's all I'm going to say. Thanks for listening, and enjoy.